Everybody, back out here working the bees. Just want to thank y'all for subscribing. I've had a lot of subscribers lately. I really appreciate that. If you've either encouraged me, shared videos, or anything like that, just it really means a lot, so thank you. But today we're going to look in some of these hives. It's honey harvesting time, so especially my hives that are supered, so the Langstroth hives, the square ones with the boxes on top. Want to see how they've been producing honey. I know there should be some in there. Want to make sure it's capped all the way before I take any of it. And the top bar hive, probably the one on that far end at least, has some honey in it. I want to go in there, cut it out, put it in the bucket, and I do a crush and strain method. So this video is also going to go over how I harvest honey using either Foundationless frames and the Langstroth or the top bar hives. All right, so I'm gonna take you real quick to show you the tools before I break this thing open. Basically, I have a bucket, and the bucket's been sanitized very well. That's what I'm gonna be cutting the comb into. I'm also using a brush, which I normally never use, and just a regular hive tool because my normal top bar knife is what I'm gonna be chopping things off with. And I try to keep it, clean. So here is the top honey super. So we're gonna see what they got. I can already see almost all of them. There is some comb building, and that really clear, or that really bright white comb is what we're looking for. So they're all pretty tight, and honey's always gonna be a little bit thicker as they build it. So I'm gonna try to pull this guy up. And I can already see I'm probably gonna make a mess. So let's start in the end. So this is a medium that was put in a deep frame. And you see that they build on the bottom of that. Now the top, they do have it pretty well capped off. The bottom, they do not. So I'm gonna take a look. See what they got. And if you notice too, when they're capped off really well, there's not that many bees on it because I don't need to be on there tending to it. So they'll usually be fairly free of bees once they get it capped off. Looking, trying to make the final determination. And I think I'm cutting this middle piece out. All right. What I'm gonna do, not sure if you can see, take it, brush the bees off of the side. There's not too many on the other side. They do not like being brushed, I will admit that. And they will kind of fly back up there because that's, that's their job and they're working on it. So we want to get them all down as much as we can. I'll leave those at the bottom. So with this, I'm actually gonna turn it over, try to get it to stay so I have room to work the next one. The bottom piece might fall off and I'm well aware of that. Okay. All right, so now I have room to work the next. All right, so I can already see this next one. When I don't use queen supers or queen excluders, and so I'll show you what you get when you don't use queen excluders for your honey. Get brood. So that is brood all the way up to the third top. So I see brood on the next one. It's not a big concern of mine because what that means I'm gonna do with this one is split it. So I'll get back to you on the next one because I really want to show you guys the honey thing and I don't want to make this video too long. All right, so right after I turned the video off, I took out two of the top frames that had brood in it, but then I noticed the rest of them look like they're all honey, and they're deeps, so this box would probably be about 90 pounds of honey. Well, 70 to 90 pounds of honey. I'll show you what I'm looking at. So this is pretty heavy, and this is completely all capped honey, both sides. So the bees, I just need to kind of shift them off. And that's it. I might light my smoker here pretty quick, just to make it a little bit easier. So let's see. I think I already mentioned this is very heavy. This is probably, I'd say at least 10 pounds. That might not sound like much, but it is when you're trying to hold it with one hand with a bunch of stinging insects on it. So kind of rough them up. All right, most of them off. There we go. So I'm gonna open my bucket. So for now, I'm gonna put these back in. And that might distract the bees a little bit while I'm taking the rest of their honey. Got another one, full honey. Check both sides, it looks good. This is a sticky mess. So I'm gonna brush them all off. I usually get the question, do I make comb honey? And I don't, just for the simple fact that very few people actually want to buy it. And it's just kind of more of a hassle to cut it out and try to keep it from getting crushed and try to keep it pretty. This one's heavier than the last one. You can see this profile though. I don't know if you can see it. See how thick that goes out from the frame? On that side, it's a little bit closer. All right. A bunch of honey. All right, so never know what you're gonna get until you start working bees. So what I did was I have that one that we looked at last weekend, or 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. They have a really beautiful queen. She's really dark color, pointed out in one of the previous videos. But I knew that that was getting full, so I decided to split that one, and I split it into here. This one is also the one that we just took the honey off of. So I have 2 more hives. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the blue tape, like I used to have around that one, put the blue tape around the entrance so they can't get out, because a lot of them will end up going back to their previous home. I am also going to feed them, even though they have some pretty good stores. So this year beekeeping has been a lot busier than I thought it would be. So I don't have the lids like I should. So this is like my last lid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you another advantage to how you can feed with a foundationless without having to drill a hole in top, as long as it's not all the way filled up. So we're just gonna do a jar. This is a little jar, it'll work with a big jar too. And I know I'm not winning anybody over with doing foundationless, especially after you see my crush and strain method. All right. So here's the split. I did 3 frames, but they're pretty solid, and dumped some more bees in there. I'm gonna push those over, gonna lift this up. Basically, I'm just gonna sit this down, upside down on the bottoms of these other frames. So basically it's sitting right here. Now you don't want to do that if you think they're going to start building really quickly, but I have a 2-frame buffer, so I know that they're not going to start building on these, because once they build, if that jar's in the way, they'll build the comb right around the jars. I'm going to slide that back over, put the lid back on, and tape it up. All right, so what we have here are 3 buckets. This is how I do the crush and strain. Now the title of this video was Top Bar and Foundationless Frames. All the honey, because that one hive filled up this bucket, I didn't technically pull any honey out of the top bar to do it, but it's the same process. Top bar, you just take a knife, chop off all the honey, it falls in the bucket, just like what I did with Foundationless Frames. Like I said, same process is how I harvest all my honey. I don't have an extractor, which is one of those centrifuges that spin the frames around really quickly. If I do that with Foundationless frames, there's no support in the middle, so it'll just sling that wax out and it'll just cause a big mess. The plastic foundation that's in the common frames, that is what kind of holds that wax in place so it just spins out the honey. So with that said, these 3 buckets are how I do it. This one has all the honey in it. That's the one we harvested. It's actually 2 days ago is when I harvested this. So this will be the bottom bucket. So this bucket, start here, it has a honey gate. So this honey gate is just it just has that little latch on it, and the latch has like a O-ring around each side, or around the inside. When you shut it, you want to make sure this washer is tightened all the way. I've heard of people putting honey in these things and not having this tightened up, and it basically leaks because they go off and do other things, and then they have a gallon of honey on the floor, which isn't a good thing. So it has that at the bottom. This is the inside of the bucket. Basically, this is what I pour my honey jars into. How the honey gets into here is the straining process. So on top, I have these holes, and with a little mark. I'll show you why that mark is important in a second. And I have a bucket that sits on top of it that has corresponding holes in it. So these 3 holes. So it also has a corresponding mark. So this is just something I did. So this mark will touch this mark, and you know when it's touched that the holes are lined up. All right. So as far as this bucket goes, this is what I will pour straight from here into here. So this is a paint strainer that you can reuse them, and you can buy them new. Either way, I like to boil them first just to sanitize them. And so that's what I did with this one earlier, so it's all sanitized. So all of this honey, the wax and everything, will pour into here. This paint strainer filters out the wax from the honey. So what ends up in that bottom bucket is just the honey, and that's what I'll pour. And so that's basically the rundown on how I do this. So now for the example. All right, so I think we have enough of these jars cleaned. I would like to hear feedback and see, do you guys sanitize the jars at all, or do you just use them right out of the package? In the past, I've just opened these up right out of the package and used them. This year, we threw all of these through the dishwasher on the sanitize and the heat clean, just to make sure that they're clean, because I'm gonna be selling them. Also, this has been draining for a couple days. The honey level is up to about there. I think I have probably close to 4 gallons. I think we have enough jars ready, but we'll see how it goes. So we ended up getting 31 jars of honey out of this. And that's my wonderful model here, can present a jar of honey. It's very clear. If you see it in the light, it's just a very clear honey. I was thinking it's probably goldberry, but I was told it's most likely wildflower, which I'm so happy with. So again, this came from 1 super 8 deep frames and one hive body. So it was a pretty good haul. I was pretty happy with it. I still have some honey to harvest. So 31 jars of this is 1 pint shy of 4 gallons. So I don't think that's too bad for that. Also have some wax left over. So in this top bucket, pull you up, you have this. And it's just all the wax left over. What I can do is I'll probably end up taking this whole paint strainer and kind of tie it in a knot and put it in a bucket, or put it in a big turkey frying pot, heat it up so the wax melts out of the filter and sits on top of the water, and that's how I'll get the wax. So basically it'll just be a chunk of wax, probably like that thick, all pure beeswax. So that's what I have. Hopefully you guys like this video. Hopefully you don't think it's too much work to do the crush and strain thing. On a small scale, it's very feasible and very cheap to do it. It's just the cost of a few buckets and a honey spout and the paint strainer. So I'll see y'all next video. I appreciate it. Love y'all. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. Remember to say if you wash out these jars or if you just use them straight out of the packet. I'm curious about that. So see y'all next video. Like, subscribe, whatever you feel comfortable doing, and y'all have a great one.